Welcome back to another Wolverine live stream. I'm not sure what's going on with my YouTube at the moment, but my live chat was completely blank and I couldn't pop it out or anything. So I'm hoping that if you guys pop back on and start chatting, I'll be able to see it. If not, I'm just going to keep talking to myself like I always do. Anyway, so what I was saying is that I was surprised. I didn't really react to the second dose of Pfizer whatsoever. I was totally fine. I had like a mild headache and a slight fever, and that was it. And my poor husband is still suffering from his second dose of Moderna, although he's fine. It's just a fever. He did have a headache. He took some Tylenol, and he just needs rest and fluids. So he's doing just fine. He's actually going to be here soon, laying right here. He's putting the kids to bed for me because neither one of us has any energy. And yeah, so he's volunteered for that. Anyway, my son just has started getting really into chess lately, and he just stomped me into the ground a minute ago, and I couldn't be more proud because I honestly was giving it everything I had, and he still beat me. So I'm surprised, but pleasantly so, and I'm really excited because some of the kids in his homeschool group also play chess, so he's going to be starting to play chess with other kids his own age. And it's getting nice out, so we can have like chess matches in the park. And I know he's really excited at the idea of that. So that's really fun. Other than that, what I've been up to, I've been stressing a heck of a lot over my May subscription boxes because I have 5 more to make and I ran out of stones. So I have to go shopping for stones again, which is cool. I love shopping for stones. But I also have a trip coming up on I think we're leaving the 10th. And so I don't know. I'm ridiculous because there's not really a reason for me to stress as long as, everything gets done in a timely manner, which it will. It's just, I'm not used to having such consistent orders. And then with my energy levels, it's kind of hard to like balance and not do everything at once when I'm not feeling the greatest. So like today I didn't really get anything done, which makes me feel kind of awful. But I was, keeping my husband company, taking care of him, and then dealing with the kiddos and just mostly honestly just Facebooking the day away, just wasting time. And I'm not really sure why recently my anxiety has been so bad about things, like particularly business things. My biggest fear is that I'm not going to have the energy for, the consistent business that I'm getting, because when it's 1 or 2 orders, you don't really have to be that, you don't have to be like super consistent because you can just do it when you're feeling up to it. But when you don't have, consistent energy and you have consistent orders coming in, like, thank you God, it's such a blessing, I'm so grateful. I'm not trying to say that it's a bad thing. It's just my anxiety is getting to me a little bit because I have this fear that I'm not going to be able to do the things that I'm obligated to do. Which my husband pointed out that they're things that he can help me do and that the kids can help me do. And that, these orders just came in the past couple of days. I have plenty of time to get them done because I give myself a 2-week processing time and all that. So I'm stressing for no reason, but I'm really good at it. So if that was like something you could get an award for, I'm pretty sure that I would win because I am fantastic at stressing about things. But yeah, other than that, just life, getting excited about spring. I was a little bummed out because this weekend it was supposed to be really nice, and then it wasn't, and then it was, and then it wasn't. It was really nice on Saturday when I went to get my shot. I was so looking forward to like getting out and doing things this weekend, and then it rained all weekend. So that was a bit of a bummer. I'm a little bit sad about that, but I am really excited because, like I said, I have a trip coming up. We are going to a beautiful national park here in Colorado, and it's a homeschool field trip. So we'll be learning about indigenous farming practices in the United States. We'll also be talking about Native American history and the Anasazi tribe that lived in the area that we are going to visit. So I'm really excited about that. I'm extremely excited about where we're staying, the handicap accessible hotel that's in the park. And I will be making videos while we're there to share with you guys when we get back. One of the cool things about, recent events is that all of my appointments, except a few, are on telehealth. So I have PT every Tuesday, and I'm going to bring my laptop and do my PT in front of these like ancient Mesa buildings. It's so cool. I'm so excited to like show a different background. I know I'm always in front of this freaking thing. But yeah, my health hasn't been the best. I actually have an appointment to see an ortho on the 18th, I think, because my PT, my doctor, and I are all concerned that there is some serious damage to my joints from all this hypermobility from walking like a normal person on hypermobile joints for 32 years before I got diagnosed. And so I'm a little bit anxious about that because the lady that I'm going to see mostly works with like osteosarcoma and other more complicated osteopathic cases. But because I have Ehlers-Danlos, they're classifying me as a complex case, which is, it's fair. I'm sure that she has beautiful knowledge base and that she's going to be a great doctor, but my concern is that she's a surgeon, and for the most part, surgeons want to cut you open. So I'm hoping that she doesn't just off the bat start recommending surgery. I am particularly concerned about my right hip. It's not doing so good. But if you guys didn't know, this month, May, is the month of Ehlers-Danlos awareness. So I wanted to also talk a little bit about that. So on Instagram, I'm going to pull it up here so I can talk about it while I'm talking to you guys. So I can see it while I'm talking to you guys. But Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month. So the EDS Society, the Ehlers-Danlos Society, is doing a challenge this month for people with Ehlers-Danlos and hypermobility spectrum disorder, or HSD for short. And every day we are asked to post a new topic. So there are different topics every day. Today's topic was a day in the life, and I just kind of talked about, here's the picture that I shared and the post that I made. Sorry about the glare, you guys. Super serious picture. But for those of you that don't know or that are new here, I have a connective tissue disorder that is genetic, incurable, and untreatable. It is called Ehlers-Danlos hypermobility syndrome, and I have what's considered type 3. And what the issue really is that my body at a genetic level, so at the blueprint level, creates faulty collagen. So I can eat as many supplements as I want. I can drink straight gelatin and collagen shots and collagen coffee, and it does not change the fact that my body creates faulty collagen. And I found this really cool infographic that I wanted to show you guys because it is Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month, that I thought might be helpful to help people understand kind of what really happens in my body. That makes me, unable to kind of live a normal life. So here's the picture. I'm sorry, there's probably going to be a glare on there. And it might be backwards, but on this side here is normal collagen. That's what most people's collagen looks like. And here is EDS collagen. As you can see, it kind of looks like it's been chewed up and spit out. Like, it doesn't really look healthy. And it doesn't look sturdy. So if you're basically relying on a bunch of rubber bands to hold your body together, as people with EDS are, you fall apart frequently. So one of the things about having EDS, one of the most important things, is awareness. And the unfortunate thing is that, oh, hi, Jane. Hey, I finally got my chat to work. Awareness, okay? Hypermobile EDS. Let me give you an example. 2 weeks ago, I got a referral for this ortho, and I called them. I spoke to the front desk girl. She said that she was going to talk to the doctor about it and see if they could get me an appointment and then call me back on Monday. So 2 weeks goes by. I have not gotten a call back. And I called today, and I said I really need to be seen. I need to see what the damage is like in my joints. I need to be seen by an ortho. So the front desk girl again goes to the back, talks to the doctor, comes back and says, he doesn't treat that. You need to be seen by a rheumatologist. Let me make something very clear. Rheumatology does not deal with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I was diagnosed by a rheumatologist, and then I was told we don't treat that. Orthopedic doctors deal with joints. Ehlers-Danlos hypermobility syndrome means that all of my joints are hypermobile. All of my joints are damaged and arthritic and not in great shape. So an orthopedic doctor would be helpful, but they also say, we don't treat it. How do you diagnose Ehlers-Danlos syndrome? So there is something called the Beighton score, or Beighton scale, sorry. And it's kind of like 9 different tasks that a doctor will have you run through to see if you might qualify as hypermobile. And then if you do qualify as hypermobile, there's additional criterion that you can be evaluated for to see if you have EDS in particular. The thing is, beyond diagnosis, beyond just the recognition that I have this disease, finding treatment is damn near impossible. So far, my treatment has consisted of extensive physical therapy and pain management, and a lot of just mental health therapy, because it's an untreatable, incurable genetic condition that they can't fix with gene therapy because they haven't identified the gene that causes the particular type of Ehlers-Danlos that I have. So just to give you an idea, just to bring to your awareness what it's like to live with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, imagine that you have a toothache, right? You call your dentist. You're like, hello, dentist, I have a toothache. Can I come in and see you? And they're like, well, I mean, what tooth is it in? And you're like, it's actually these 3 teeth. And they're like, okay, well, we only deal with that one tooth here. So you're going to have to make an appointment over there to get the other 2 looked at. You call the other place and they're like, oh, okay, so you spoke to Dr. blah, 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 who deals with the 1 tooth. Well, we can deal with the other 2 teeth, but you have to get the first tooth dealt with before we can see you. Okay. You go back to first doctor. You're like, hey, doc, the other place said that they can deal with these 2 teeth after you deal with the first tooth that I came in for. And he says, okay, but I can't deal with that first tooth until you deal with the other 2 teeth. And this is how it goes. It's impossible. It is redundant. It's circular. It's impossible. And the whole time that you are seeking treatment for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, you are declining. You're getting worse. Your joints are getting worse. Your pain is getting worse. Your fatigue is getting worse. Your nervous system's worse. Everything gets worse, and you can't find care. And that's why awareness is so important. If you're a doctor, on some off chance, some miracle of the universe that a doctor is watching my video right now, please educate yourself about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I don't even care what your specialty is. If you're a gynecologist, educate yourself. If you're an obstetrician, educate yourself. If you're an ortho, educate yourself. If you're a behavioral health therapist, educate yourself. If you're a PT, for the love of God, please educate yourself. We need you so bad. If you are a primary care doctor, educate yourself. If you're a general practitioner, educate yourself. If you are an oncologist, please educate yourself. Everybody needs to know about this disease because there isn't somebody that just treats us. This disease affects every single bit of collagen in our entire bodies. Some things that are made up of collagen include our skin, our ligaments, our tendons, our vessels, the epithelial tissue lining the esophagus, stomach, intestines. That's all collagen, all of it. So every little bit of that is affected. Now, in addition to every little bit of that being affected, every system in your body being affected, Ehlers-Danlos also affects your nervous system. Because if you imagine that your whole life you're trying to balance a butter knife on your chin, okay, and you have to live your life with a butter knife balanced on your chin, and anytime it falls off, you get severely injured. That's what it's like living with EDS. We're trying to hold ourselves up with these rubber bands, this faulty collagen that's way too stretchy, not sturdy, and we get injured often. And because of that, our nervous systems are fried. We are in a constant, persistent state of fight or flight. And that's not a mental illness. I mean, some of us, like myself, do have PTSD as a additional diagnosis, but just having EDS is enough to put your body into fight or flight every day for your entire existence. Because if you think about it this way, all right, it's Tuesday. You wake up. You pop your shoulder back into place because it came out while you were sleeping. You take a deep breath. You pop your rib back into place. You turn this way to pop your spine back into place. And then you get up and make coffee. Okay. And then maybe when you're on your way to the coffee pot, your hip comes out. You pop it back in. You keep going. You make your coffee. You come back. You sit down. And all of a sudden, your knee comes out. You're just sitting there and your knee comes out. You pop your knee back in, and then it's lunchtime. So you get up to go make lunch, and your sacrum and your hip and your pubic bone all come out at the same time. You pop them back in, you pretend nothing happened, and you keep going. This is the equivalent, you guys. The trauma of this disease on a daily basis is the equivalent if we were in Neanderthal times, we were getting chased down by some sort of apex predator. Let's say that some saber-toothed tiger got a hold of you and shook you really well, and you dislocated your shoulder, your knee, your hip, and your elbow. And then instead of getting treatment or rest or pain management or anything, you have to pick your broken body up off the ground, pop everything back into place, and then go make your coffee. That's EDS, right? Sounds terrible. It sucks. And this is why, as much as I hate talking about my disease, as much as I hate complaining about my disease, I don't want to be identified as my disease. I have to, because there's just not the awareness. I can't tell you how many doctors' offices I've called where I've said, hi, I need to see a doctor for this. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I've heard back either, you have what? Or could you spell that? Or what is that? Or I'm sorry, we don't treat that. Or which elbow is it in? I've literally heard that one. I'm trying not to get emotional about it because it's so ridiculous that it would be comical if it wasn't real life for me. And all of the thousands and millions of people that have EDS that is undiagnosed, underdiagnosed, or is diagnosed and not being treated because there is no treatment. Just as a human being asking for help for something that you have no control over, that you were born into, that makes you suffer on a daily basis, and then to have nobody have ever heard of it. And that's the nice responses, is when they're like, I'm sorry, what? How did you spell that? What was that called? Or what is that? The people that actually ask for education. I've also had doctors, professional medical doctors that have been in medicine for years and years and decades and years, say to me, flexibility is not a disease. I've literally had a rheumatologist look me in the face and tell me that. Yeah. The level to which this disease dehumanizes us because of the lack of awareness is incomprehensible to most. EDS leads to a lot of suicides. It does, because the pain is intolerable, it's unbearable, and it's not believed. For the most part, people think that EDS it's all in their head. I personally have been diagnosed with something called conversion disorder before. Turned out that I actually had a dislocated vertebrae in my lower back and my legs stopped working. The doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong, so they decided it was all in my head, that I had some sort of mental break, and that my body was reacting to that. It was a stress reaction. Awareness is important, because so many of us get called hypochondriacs, we get called drama queens, we get told things like, if it was dislocated, you would be screaming in pain, when the truth is I have to relocate at least 3 of my bones every morning when I first wake up. At least 3. That's on a good day. On a bad day, it's more than that. And sometimes I can't move an inch without my sacrum and my hip coming out. So it's important that people are aware of this disease. If you're not a medical professional, it's important that you're aware of this disease, because you might know somebody that has a bunch of unexplained injuries, unexplained illness, just severe fatigue, always seems to be hurting themselves. You might be the person that says, hey, have you heard of this? So that they can get a proper diagnosis and the care that they need. You can also be a great ally for people like myself. When we do feel dehumanized by doctors, you can just be like, well, doctors are dumb. I mean, that helps. That honestly helps. To hear people that don't have this disease say that it's not in our heads is so helpful, because I have been told countless hundreds, maybe thousands of times by parents, coaches, teachers, family members, friends that I'm dramatic, I'm a hypochondriac, I'm a klutz, I'm anxious, it's all in my head, I'm crazy. I mean, these things get to you. And because of these things being said to you and reiterated year after year after year, you start to think that it really is all in your head. And you start to ignore things like a dislocated hip. And you start to ignore things like a dislocated shoulder. And you shove down the pain so much that literally mentally you are almost never aware of what's going on in your body because you just can't live in it. You can't live in it. And so you have dissociative episodes. You kind of drift off into space. You're not really with it. And the most validating and beautiful thing that I've experienced since I've had this disease is to have a trained medical professional, my first PT since I got diagnosed, hand me a binder that had a zebra on the cover that said, "I believe you." Sorry. That moment was so life-changing for me that from that moment forward, I have been trying to heal all of that trauma from being told that it's all in my head, it's not real, I'm a hypochondriac, I'm just a klutz. All of these things that I believed about myself because people reiterated them to me time after time after time. Finally, after 32 years, I got diagnosed with this disease when I was 32 years old. After 32 years, somebody said, "I believe you. I believe you." That was huge. This is why awareness is important, because I am a very resilient and strong person mentally. I have a very high pain tolerance. I can deal with a lot, but there are a lot of people that cannot deal with this and are not with us anymore because there was not enough awareness of their disease and what they needed in order to cope and survive with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So it is so, so very important that regardless of whether or not a friend of yours has EDS, if they say something hurts, believe them. Please, for the love of God, we are all suffering, all of us. Whether we have EDS or not, we are all suffering to varying degrees. And the most kind, compassionate, meaningful, purposeful, wonderful thing that you can do for another human being is to say, "I see you, I hear you, I believe you, your pain is valid." Because I can't tell you how many professionals have invalidated me as a human being because of this freaking disease and all the things that you can't see about it. I look fine, right? I look fine. I don't look sick. I don't look sick. I can tell you right now, this shoulder is partway out, my hip is out, my sacrum is out, and I am extremely fatigued. I also have this thing where I lose my voice when I get tired because the collagen in my throat just relaxes and I start to sound like a toad. I'm not okay right now, but I look fine, right? Look totally fine. And that's the thing. There are disabilities and illnesses that you cannot see. There are a lot of them, actually. And I'm one of the lucky ones with EDS. I know this sounds weird, but because I use a wheelchair, people can see my disability. If I weren't a wheelchair user and I didn't use my mobility aids and my braces when I left the house, I'd just look like some healthy person taking up handicap spots. And it is so vitally important that we are all aware that there are diseases out there that you cannot see. You can't see them. You can't see cancer. You can't see MS. You can't see EDS. You can't see depression. You can't see anxiety. We just have to be kind and compassionate to one another, to hear each other. And if you care about somebody, to just say your pain is valid. You are valid. Your suffering is valid. I hear you. I see you. And I know that you are telling me the truth. And because EDS is so prevalent and so rarely diagnosed, a lot of us, probably the majority of people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, especially hypermobility, type 3 is what it would be known as classically, are diagnosed as hypochondriacs, or we get diagnosed as being bipolar, or we get diagnosed as being having, I think I have like 4 diagnoses about anxiety. I think I've got generalized anxiety disorder. I do have PTSD. I will own up to that. I do have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, but EDS is separate from that. Like, there are other things wrong with me besides just having anxiety. So this month, I'm asking you to please, please, please talk about it. Whether you have it or not. Say there's this weird girl on YouTube that wears this crazy thing on her head and she has EDS. And I didn't know what that was. And then just start a conversation. Just speak about it. Talk about invisible illnesses. Talk about how stupid some doctors are. Talk about, how you can support your loved ones that are dealing with a chronic illness. Because the truth is that a lack of awareness causes a loss of life on more than one level. Because if you are not diagnosed properly and you have a certain type of EDS, which is called vascular EDS, it can be deadly. Your aorta can literally rupture and you can bleed out and die. So awareness is important. And awareness is also important from a mental health standpoint because it is so taxing, so difficult, so impossible to get out of bed on days when your chronic pain or your chronic illness is flaring and people say that you look fine. Just think positive. Stop that. Please stop that. Don't tell somebody who is suffering and open and vulnerable enough with you to say, hey, I'm suffering, I'm struggling, I'm dealing with this. Please don't ever tell them to just think positive, because it's the most painful and dismissive thing that you could say. Instead, say something like, I'm really sorry that you're dealing with this. I mean, I know that I can't fix it for you, but I want you to know that your pain is valid, that your feelings matter. And if there is anything that I can do, please let me know. Say something like that. Just don't be a dick about it. Like, excuse my language, but don't be a dick about it. There are tons of people, young people that look healthy, that are dealing with chronic illnesses, chronic pain, chronic disorders, chronic depression, that look fine. That doesn't mean that they're fine. And it doesn't mean that they just need to think positively. That's not how it works. I can think positively until my face turns blue. And I have, and I do. It doesn't cure me. Tried it, doesn't work. I'm a certified herbalist and aromatherapist. And I will tell you that I can't change the way my body makes collagen with oils and plants. I can alleviate a lot of my symptoms, but it doesn't cure me. And it doesn't help me when people are like, have you tried collagen? Have you tried vegan diet? Have you tried? If you're thinking about it, I've probably either tried it or it has been dismissed by my medical professionals as useless information. I have more of a social life with my doctors than I do with actual people that are my friends. And I will tell you that there's not much I haven't tried at this point. And at the end of the day, until they identify the gene that causes the particular type of Ehlers-Danlos that I have, there is no hope for a cure. And that sounds really stark. That sounds really bleak and dark and sad and depressing and hopeless. But the good news is that we are bringing awareness. If you want to help people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the best thing you can do is donate to the Ehlers-Danlos Society. Talk to your zebra friends, see how they're doing, check in on us. But our only hope for a cure is if they can find the gene that causes my body to create collagen the wrong way, and then they develop a gene therapy to fix that. But you can't develop a therapy for a gene you don't know. So they have to find the gene. They have to recognize the gene. And that's where the research is happening right now. They still have not identified the gene that causes my particular type of EDS. I have every hope. I have every hope that this will happen in my lifetime. I have every hope that this disease will be cured in my lifetime. And you better believe that if there is some experimental gene therapy that they come out with in the next couple of years, I will be participating in that if I am eligible, because it is the most important thing that I can do with my zebra body is to pave the way for future zebras not to suffer as much. So I know this kind of turned into a rant about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I'm sorry, but I think it's important because May is Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month, Hypermobility Spectrum Disorder Month, to bring it here and talk about it. And I do so appreciate you guys listening to me. I know I haven't been responding to your chat, and that's because I can't see it. Let me see if I can get it up. So yes, I can see it. So hi, Jane. You would quit coffee. I love coffee. I love coffee. Rheumatologists can be rude. 1 in 1,000 is nice. Actually, the lady that diagnosed me, oh, I'm so grateful for her. So the lady that gave me the official diagnosis of hypermobility, She didn't say EDS right off the bat because there are different types of hypermobility. There's hypermobility spectrum disorders. It's not like we're all the same. But the lady that diagnosed me was a rheumatologist that I got referred to after I lost it with the first guy that said flexibility is not a disease. I also have a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, but the lady that diagnosed me happens, luckily for me, to be married to somebody with hypermobility spectrum disorder, and so she recognized it. Now, speaking of diagnosis, how do you get a diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome if they can't identify the gene? I'll tell you. So there is a thing called the Beighton scale. The Beighton scale is a bunch of different tests for like flexibility and hypermobility in the body, and the tests are pretty crazy. One of the tests is being able to bend your pinky back past 90 degrees. I can go further. I'm not going to go as far as I can because I will hurt myself. I don't want to do any more damage than necessary, but for demonstration purposes. So the average person can put their pinky about here. If you can go back past 90 degrees, then it's considered hypermobile. Another one of the tests on the Beighton scale is whether or not you can lay your thumb flat against your wrist, which I can easily do. Like it just, completely flat against my wrist. We call this the Ehlers-Danlos gang sign. Another one of the tests is whether or not your elbows and your knees hyperextend. Mine do, except one elbow that I broke when I was younger. And whether or not you can put your hands flat on the floor without bending your knees. So there's like all these different mobility tests that they do. And then if you do have, I think the score you have to get is like 5 to be considered hypermobile on the Beighton scale. So on the Beighton scale, I got 8 out of 9. The 1 point was taken off because my elbow doesn't hyperextend anymore. But I think average people is 5 and below, and then anything above 5 is considered hypermobile. So is that a diagnosis? No. The Beighton scale is strictly a screening tool to find out whether or not this disease should be ruled in. And then once you've gotten that done and you've decided, like you've gotten your score, the next step is to go through the rest of the criteria. And I think the Ehlers-Danlos Society has it on their website. It was updated in 2017. I fit all the criteria except the one elbow. It's like extra stretchy skin on your face or on your body. Just extra stretchy skin is one of the things. I don't really have an extreme form of the stretchy skin. My son's skin is actually a lot more stretchy than mine. But that's one of the signs, and then there's like translucent skin, which I don't know if you guys can see all my veins. It's not too bad. I don't have terribly translucent skin. It is somewhat translucent. I don't want to show too much off here, but, and there's like a bunch of different categories that they go through. So the Beighton scale is a great starting place. It is not a diagnosis. In order to get a diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, you have to get above a 5, I think, on the Beighton scale, and then you have to also fit the other criterion, and then you have to have a doctor say that you have it. So I was lucky enough to be diagnosed as hypermobile by a rheumatologist, and then after starting physical therapy with the specialist in our region, I was given the diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos hypermobility syndrome, or Ehlers-Danlos type 3. There are 13 subtypes of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I couldn't list them for you, but I think they have them up on the EDS page for the awareness month. So let me pull that up for you, and I'll tell you what they are. I'm pretty sure I saw it earlier today. So yes, they do have them up. So Ehlers-Danlos syndromes include it's AEDS, EDS, AIDS, arthrochalasia. That has more to do with, so aside from the type that I have, type 3, they've all been identified with a gene. So anything other than the type that I have has a specific genetic mutation attached to it. So if you have this type of EDS, you have this gene mutation. Type 3 is the only one they haven't identified a gene for yet. I'm thinking that there will be more types that come about as genetic research, kind of expands on the idea of this. But these, as I read them, they all have different genes attached. So these are definitive diagnoses made through genetic testing. So there's arthrochalasia EDS, brittle corner syndrome. It's called BCS, cardiovascular or CVEDS, classical EDS, classical-like EDS, dermatopraxis, hypermobile EDS. I mean, okay, so I haven't had my genetic testing done. I have an appointment for 2022, I think, that I made in 2020. No, 2019. Sorry. I had to schedule 3 years out with a geneticist at UC Health because he's so booked that you have to schedule 3 years out. So I do have genetic counseling, genetic testing happening in 2022. But until I get that, I do have a clinical diagnosis of HEDS or hypermobility Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So if I go in and get genetic testing, it is absolutely possible. It's 100% possible that I could go in and find out I have a different type of EDS than I believe that I do. The problem is that there is just not enough genetic testing being done on people to determine whether or not they have what kind of EDS. The most dangerous type of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is vascular EDS or cardiovascular EDS, because it can cause a rupture of the vessels in the body, including the aorta. It can be fatal. It can shorten the life. But for me, because I have successfully gone through 2 childbirths and not bled to death, although technically I did bleed to death in the first one, they were able to stop it and bring back to life. They don't suspect that I have VEDS. I could, though. I could have it. If it turns out that I go in for genetic counseling, they do the tests, they mark, they map out my genome or whatever it is that they do, and they find the specific mutation for VEDS or vascular EDS, then, it's possible that could happen. So the other types are kyphoscoliotic or KEDS, musculocontracture or MSEDS, myopathic or MEDS. There's periodontal. That has a lot to do with your teeth. That one's really difficult as far as from what I understand, I don't have this myself, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, it causes a lot of gum disease and your teeth are loose and a lot of times they fall out. But it's the most affected part of your body. And then this one's they're all really hard to say. Spondyloplastic or SPEDS, and then vascular EDS. So what's the difference between cardiovascular EDS and vascular EDS? I believe the difference is the gene, but also that one affects the heart more and one just affects the vessels more and not necessarily the heart. There's so much information available on the Ehlers-Danlos Society website and on their Instagram. If you're interested in more information about this, if you want to educate yourself, feel free to go on over there. And if you have symptoms and you think you might have EDS, look up the 2017 diagnostic criterion, run yourself through the Beighton scale. And then if you are scoring above a 5, talk to your doctor. A lot of doctors remember it from one day in med school, so you might have a difficult time getting a diagnosis if you do in fact have EDS, but awareness is everything. So go educate yourself and find out what you can do, and don't give up at the first doctor. If I had given up on the first doctor, I would have had my spleen, part of my stomach, my bowel, and my appendix removed for no reason, and gallbladder. She wanted to take all that out because one of the issues that I was having when I first got sick, and I still have periodically, is called gastroparesis, which is where your basically your intestines stop moving. So it looks so spooky, the paper. So with gastroparesis, you're unable to digest food. A lot of people lose a lot of weight, and sometimes it ends up with a intranasal feeding tube, and that is common with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's very common with HEDS, the kind that I have. So far, I've been very lucky and able to avoid a feeding tube. I am able to eat. I probably eat more than I should because I did go for 3 months without being able to eat basically anything. I was drinking Ensures and I lost like 60 pounds. It was really bad. And that was before my diagnosis. Excuse me. Sorry, gotta stay hydrated. But yeah, if you are looking for information, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm obviously not an authority on any other type of eds besides my own. And even that I don't know a ton about. I just know what I've had to learn to get through to doctors, to get treatment, to get help. Like I said, there's not really a treatment for eds. And because there's not really a treatment for eds, none of the doctors really know what to do with us. So luckily, I have a very good new primary care physician who gives me referrals as needed to different specialists for different issues that I'm having. So we're not actually treating eds, we're treating my symptoms. So one of the referrals, for instance, is to a sleep clinic to get a sleep study done. That hasn't happened yet, but I do have narcolepsy type spells during the day sometimes where I just fall asleep. And then another specialist, like I said, I'm going to see an ortho. And then, especially with women with hypermobile eds, there's a lot of pelvic organ prolapse and gynecological issues that can arise, including endometriosis. So there's always, different specialists. You just have to have a good doctor that can refer you to those specialties. I'm very, very blessed in that I do have a wonderful female doctor, and actually my whole care team is women. So far, my PT, my GP, my ortho, and my therapist are all women. So that's kind of wonderful because I love the idea of just a powwow or like I'm sorry if that's offensive, a group of women coming together to discuss healing in what I think is a sacred way. All of my practitioners know how important my spirituality is to me. And when we meet, we all meet together via Zoom or whatever. And one of my doctors, she always calls it a powwow. I don't know why. But she kind of heads up the whole thing, and she just talks about like what my issues are. She asks me what I want to focus on. If my most pertinent issue is my stomach, for instance, then I will be referred to a gastroenterologist. If the most bugging symptom is my insomnia, then, it's probably a neurologist would be on the list. And so I love my care team because when I have an issue, I can come to my primary care doctor and just say, hey, this is what's going on. I would like to see a specialist for this. And then she doesn't just send me somewhere. She gives me the name of the doctors that she works with, and she says, go do some research, tell me which one you want to see, and I'll give you a referral to that person. And so in that way, I'm very active in my own care. It has taken almost 3 years to get to the point where I am able to do that with my doctors. I have had to go through so many crappy doctors because of this disease. And finally, I have a really good care team, and I'm very happy with my care team. But if you do have EDS or another chronic illness that is yet undiagnosed and you're struggling to find quality care and a good doctor, my advice would be just don't give up and keep seeing new ones until you find the right one, because you are always entitled to another opinion. Always. It does get expensive. Luckily, I have very good insurance that covers everything, but you have to advocate for yourself. You cannot just take the first doctor's opinion and go with it. Otherwise, you might end up missing body parts. So, just advocate for yourself. Always, always, always form a good relationship with your doctor. If you're not vibing with your doctor, get a new one. There's no reason to stay with a doctor you don't like at all, ever. Even if you don't have a chronic illness. If you don't like your doctor, get a new one. That's my advice. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to my rant awareness video for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I know you guys have been talking in the chat. Again, I don't know what's up with YouTube. The live chat thing has been, I have to toggle between screens if I want to see it. So I will do that now. Let's see. Jane said rheumatologists can be rude. Yes, they can. We have that invisible disabilities are judged all the time and we are misunderstood. I agree, Jane. There are so many people that just don't understand, especially when you're young and look able-bodied, that why are you using a handicap space? I have a friend with lupus and he looks fine. He looks perfectly healthy, but he is always, always, always suffering. It's not good. And he has the handicap placard. He does not have a wheelchair. He doesn't have a cane or anything like that. But he has gotten a lot of flack for using his handicap placard, even though he definitely needs it. He deserves it. And he is disabled. Invisible illnesses are hard, and that's why awareness is important. And I think it's so important that if you do have an invisible illness, that you're the one that brings awareness to that illness, because we are the best educators that we have. doctors are going to be busy treating a bunch of different diseases and syndromes and whatnot, but my disease is my disease, and I've been dealing with it, forever. So I'm my own best advocate, and I'm my own best awareness campaign. So since May is Hypermobility Spectrum Disorder Ehlers-Danlos Awareness Month, I will be kind of like doing some of these little videos where I'm talking about this, that, or the other thing. But it won't just be that, of course. I come on here and talk about all sorts of random crap. Like, I don't ever have a plan. Hi, Deanne. I didn't know you were here. I'm so happy that you're here. I freaking love you guys. I love that it's become kind of like customary that I have at least one or two people, because when I first started doing live chats, there was nobody here. And I was just talking to myself. And that was so much fun to just like be sitting here talking to myself for like an hour or whatever. But yeah, this month at least I have something to talk about, and it's of course very important to me personally to spread awareness, because it is an invisible disorder that I'm living with. Other than that, what's been going on? My husband and I are taking the kids. I was talking about this earlier, but we're taking the kids on a homeschool field trip vacation to the Mesa Verde National Park here in Colorado in a couple of weeks, or not in a couple of weeks, I guess it's next week. And we're going to be learning about indigenous farming practices and Native American Indian practices, and the Anasazi tribe in particular. So that's really exciting. And then in June, I'm going up to South Dakota for the Lakota Sundance. I was invited by my friend Wilbur Whitemouse, and I just talked to him today, and I am very excited that I get to go and support him and pray with him and be with him while he does this very grueling task. For those of you that aren't familiar with Sundance, I highly recommend doing some research on it. It is not always portrayed in the best light in media and history books. I would recommend looking up, indigenous sources for information, because who better to tell the history of the indigenous people than the indigenous people themselves? So I feel really honored and blessed to have been invited. It's a very special and sacred thing, and I'm a little bit scared, to be honest, because I've never been there before, and I am glaringly white, and I will be in a wheelchair with this thing on my head, so I'm just going to stick out like such a sore thumb. But the truth of the matter is I'm there for my friend, and that's important to him. So I'm going to go and pray. My friend Chubb Wilbur, he's good people, and he has helped me heal a lot of my wounds in my heart and my soul. So I'm really excited. I've done a lot of ceremony with him. This will be the biggest ceremony that I've done with him. So that's in June. And then in July, I don't know, I have my calendar. Let me look. In July is my husband's birthday, but also, all right, for Independence Day, I'm hoping to plan some kind of trip somewhere with the kids. So because the pandemic is still raging on, luckily my husband and I have been vaccinated. I do plan on getting my children vaccinated when it's available and safe to do so. But what we're hoping to do this summer, is kind of just travel around and learn as much as possible. So we haven't decided where we want to go in July, but hopefully we'll be able to go somewhere. So like one small trip a month is the plan. If it's close to home, maybe we can do more than one, but I'm really excited about this summer. And then other things I'm excited about, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, I do not have a filter on this face right now. I'm not trying to like brag about how amazing my skin looks, but I do usually have like really bad acne on my chin and like on the side of my face. I do have one side here, but I wanted to tell you guys, my friend Megan, it just recently started doing the It Works marketing stuff. And normally I don't really, I don't buy into that stuff. But the thing is, I bought it from her so that I could support her and not actually caring whether or not the thing worked. And what I got from her is called Hair, Skin, and Nails. And so it's a capsule that you take 2 of a day. Look at this. Like, this is the best my skin has ever looked in my life. I'm not trying to plug it here. If you're interested, let me know. I'll talk to Megan and get her information for you. But mostly I just wanted to like say, hey, I finally found something that works for my skin that has never happened in my life. I've tried Proactive. I've tried the antibiotic creams. I've tried an internal antibiotic. I tried birth control to get my skin under control, and none of it worked. And so I'm just really stoked that it's finally working. So that's something I'm really excited about. And then I'm also really, really excited that my sister-in-law is going to have her baby in not too many months. And let's see, I think she just hit, she might be 30 weeks now, actually. But she's going to have a little baby. And so I'm really excited about that. And then just getting ready for next year's homeschooling. So there's a lot coming down the line. I'm also very excited about my monthly subscription boxes. If you guys haven't checked those out, they are on my Crow Boutique Etsy. So the website is www.etsy.com/shop/Crow Boutique, all one word. And I'll leave a link in the description box. But yeah, the subscription boxes have been going really, really well. I'm finishing up Maze. I have 5 left to make and mail, and then I'm done with Maze. And nobody knows this yet, but the theme for June is going to be Return to Love, and it is going to include my heart tea blend with the incantation that goes with it, a little rose quartz heart, maybe, otherwise maybe just a chunk of rose quartz like this. And then a couple other things. I don't want to spoil the whole surprise, but that is the theme for June. And nobody else knows that yet. So you guys should feel really special and privileged. I honestly just came up with it not too long ago. So it's, I don't know. It's just, I'm really excited about that one. So April was purification. May is grounding. And then June is going to be Return to Love. Honestly, this paper keeps flopping in the background, and like, on the camera, I see it, and it looks like somebody's behind me. It's so freaky. My daughter is so cute. She's 5, and she is into art, right? She loves to, I'll show you. Let's see. I want to pull one down that's not going to damage anything. So she hangs these all over my room. This one's her, and this one's me. But she just hangs them like indiscriminately all over my room. There's probably like 20 of these things on my wall right now. And it's really cute. But man, in the middle of the night when you see it move out of the corner of your eye, or like on camera when you see it move into the corner of the frame, you're like, oh. My soul froze there for a second. It just, oh my goodness. If that child knew how much terror, Let's see. Hi from Australia. Hi, Paula. How's it going? It's just getting geared up for winter down there, right? Guava color. Which one is this? Guava color or my nails? I don't even know. What does guava look like? Is that the green? I don't know what guava looks like. My brain fog is. I'm thinking of dragon fruit. Let's see. Oh, my tickle. Yeah, thank you. So this, I'm calling this my sci-fi queen tickle. It's actually really easy to do. I did a tutorial for my friends in my rap group. I might post it here, actually, if you guys are interested. But yeah, it's the sci-fi queen look. I came up with it myself. I'm really proud of it. It's June 16th, Valentine's Day in Brazil. That's so cool. I didn't know that. I just assumed it was the same everywhere. I know Mother's Day is a different day in several different countries. How are you guys? How are you, Deanne? How are you, Paula? How are you, Jane? Like, what are you guys up to? What have you been doing? Anything interesting happening? Are you guys crocheting? I mean, I assume that you both crochet, right? Did you both come over from Crochet Rocks? Where did I pick you guys up at? I'm really happy that you guys are here listening to me ramble on about everything. Honestly, it just feels really good to know that like there's people interested in what I have to say. sometimes I get really self-conscious and I think, oh my God, shut up, stop talking. Why are you still talking? Nobody cares. But then you guys are so sweet about it that it encourages me to keep making more and more videos. And to not get so down on myself when I can't. Like, I've gotten so many beautiful messages from you guys about like not being hard on myself when I can't be consistent. And the understanding is so huge, because I know a lot of you guys also suffer from chronic illnesses, and like just to hear people say that it's okay to like slack off a little, it's a huge gift, and I really appreciate that. So thank you guys so much. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm starting to like really lose my voice. So I'm going to have to go as much as I want to like stay. But yeah, so let's see. You're still, yeah, I figured you were probably still working on that, Deanne, the corner to corner, because it's freaking huge. And then, yeah, I think I got you guys all in Crochet Rocks, right? You're making a cardigan for one of your granddaughter's crocheted pattern. Oh, hi, Maritza. Did I say that right? Hello. I'm actually getting ready to log off because I'm losing my voice. This is more EDS awareness for you. So there is something called vocal cord dysfunction, I think is what it's called, where when I get tired or whatever, I lose my voice, or I sound like a frog, or I sound like I've been smoking a pack a day for 40 years, you know. Just my husband says it's sexy. I think it's so annoying. I like to sing, and so when I'm tired I can't sing, and I don't know, I just kind of sound smoky. But I'm gonna go. I'm worn out. Thank you for coming. I want to see it, Deanne. I will put my email in the description box when I post this. If you will email me a picture of it, I just want to see what it looks like. If you want me to share it, I will. But otherwise, I just want to see it because it sounds freaking huge. Like, I would be so interested to see what that looks like. But yeah, don't forget, wear your masks, wash your hands, be kind to yourselves and each other, drink plenty of water, and always, always, always remember that you are beloved, sacred, precious beings. And I'm so glad you're here. Thank you guys for spending your time with me. I look forward to the next one. Let me know if you're interested in the tutorial for that. I mean, I don't know very many ladies that cover their hair personally, except online. So if you're interested, I can totally show you how to do this thing. But yeah, other than that, I will have some videos upcoming. Like I said, there will be videos of our trip. Probably not until we get back, because I don't want to video edit on my vacation. And yeah, if anything interesting happens, I'll let you guys know. I am planning on finally starting the rainbow Lark Stitch baby blanket tutorial as well. So I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I will see you guys in the next one. All right. Have a good night, you guys. Bye. Don't forget to drink water.